All right, there we are. We're live. We are streaming. Good
What's
morning,
up, everybody?
boy. Ben and I
Welcome.
haven't barely said good morning to each other. Good morning,
That's right.
everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. Here's to another good day.
How's your morning going so far?
Does your mug say anything clever? I like mugs that say something fun.
Yeah, mine declares that you are my person.
Nice.
You're my person.
And mine is an ego boost. Wake up, be awesome, repeat.
Yeah, that's good.
Daily routine.
I mean,
excuse me.
Most days are going to work out if that's your mantra, you know?
Yeah.
Like what day started with, all right, wake up, be awesome, repeat, and then you had a bad day, you know?
It seems like I've had a lot of those, yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Bad days happen.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem starts, Ben, with your perspective. If I may go there.
Very interesting word.
Not that we're scripting things around here, but I think perspective, when you start out with the expectation of awesomeness, it's hard for anything in your day to really meet that bar. And then you're like, man, my day's not awesome.
It's an interesting place to start because I brand myself as the creator of awesome. That's like on my website, you know? Like
creator of that's a good brand. I like it.
Awesome.
It's funny. We lived in the generation that started really using. I don't know if the Lego Movie just bought into it or propelled it, but the word awesome, I think our generation introduced that word afresh into our culture.
Yeah, we also tried tubular, bodacious.
We tried a lot. We tried a lot of them.
You know, I was thinking the other day, here's a gem from our generation.
What is it?
Thebomb.com.
Oh man, that's been ages since I heard that. Thebomb.com. Back when .com was something that was cool.
When I was in junior high, the high school girls were saying that's thebomb.com.
That's thebomb.com. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how do they do it? How do they just be so glorious and perfect, saying such awesome things like thebomb.com?
It's so awesome. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
My goodness. Well, good morning, or evening, or night, or middle of the night, whatever it is for you, wherever you are. Raluca, Roundbrush, Corny, JS, Leanne, Mary, Raymond, Tyler, and RN Schimmeler. Thanks for chatting us up, guys. It's good to see y'all. What we're going to talk about today is the P word. The P word.
Hey, and you know who this is?
To begin, Joe is sharing his perspective on what he sees on the monitor.
Yeah. Okay. Who is this person? Who is this person that I just drew? I'm looking over in my screen watching Ben look at the computer. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if I could capture that with a few key lines. Let's give him a good stash like that.
You definitely captured a nice square jaw. So first things first.
It's not bad. I don't think it's bad. That's what I'm looking at right there.
Yeah. Well, Leanne, it's 6 a.m. here too. So thank you for getting up and watching YouTube in the dark.
Whoa, nice. It was dark here for a little bit. Did anybody see any what I forgot to do was share amazing pictures of northern lights. We were doing that Aurora Borealis project, and it was really amazing. I got some pictures from a couple of people. If anybody wants to share pictures of that event, we had northern lights all the way down in Arizona. We had that. Yeah, we were looking, and you probably could have seen them where you were too if the smog wasn't too bad. I don't know how your smog situation is these days, but a lot of people were seeing them all over.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. So I'm just getting on the computer seeing if I can open up those pictures. If people want to send them in, then
Yeah. Hey,
you do it.
Tyler just wanted to start out the sesh today with a little note that says, "Good morning, Joe. I've grown so much as an artist watching your videos. Always
Nice.
wonder what paint do you use, Joe? What paint do you use?"
Man, I got a video on that.
He
I got a video
uses
on that.
paint in a tube.
Paint. Okay, nice. I've used paint in a tube. I do use paint in a tube from time to time.
No, you put the paint in the tube, your own tube, in a ketchup tube.
Well, I did a whole video just to, just to have something that was more standard. I did do the how to paint a beach wave with acrylics. That video on my website is all with tubes, the standard tubes you buy at the store, and that.
Okay. Well, Tyler says, "I notice you're able to use much more paint than if I were to use expensive golden paint." So yeah, Tyler, that's kind of the thing is Joe paints with cheap paint so he can paint a lot. That's kind of the deal. You nailed it. Also,
we're gonna go like this.
Also, we're on like a cool share screen right now where we're looking at me.
Yeah. Right. I got it. I flipped screens.
Okay, that was pretty cool and all.
Yeah, but we don't want to do that for too long. You're like, that's not why we're here. Okay. Hey, remember the eyebrow expressions we had fun being silly talking about? Like, I'm gonna do this. All right. This is gonna be a signature Brother Ben face.
Brother Ben.
I did the eyebrow. You got to look at it. You got to wait. Wait for the latency to catch up. Just put it here. Or we go like this.
That's the problematic shape right there.
Let's do that. I don't know if it's your left or your right that goes.
It is. Yeah, it's the left. You know what's funny is I've spent time in my youth wondering if I should pluck that spot or comb it over.
Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that funny?
All right, we're gonna go. I'm gonna see if I can do another one.
Let's see if I can. Well, so we aim to be useful.
We do indeed. But what are you talking? All right, now I'm drawing myself.
I just wanted to start us out. While Joe's drawing me, I just want to start us out with we are either talking about today the art of drawing solid objects on a two-dimensional surface so as to give the right impression of their height, width, depth, and position in relation to each other when viewed from a particular spot. Okay, we're talking about that, and we're talking about a particular attitude toward or way of regarding something, a point of view.
A way of regarding, that's it. It can be either, but you know that they're appropriately both called perspective because they're kind of one and the same. I think I think my drawing of you is better than my drawing of me. Mine I'm just trying to do from some memory, and it's not quite as good. But I would say that it's in the ballpark.
I mean, they say don't compare, but if you compared that to my drawing of myself, and it's not the worst I've ever seen.
All right, let's get to some meat and potatoes. We need a subject here.
All right, guys, that was your amuse-bouche. I hope you are properly salivating here for.
I want to know how many people feel confident that they can do this exercise right here. How many people feel like they can do that? Very tricky thing. Oh, we lost Ben. He's gone.
No.
Oh, okay. I heard. I didn't listen. Notification. That was a notification sound. It wasn't.
I signed out for a second.
Okay. So I want to know how many people can do this. Here's what I think. Here's my perspective on the situation. Here's my perspective on perspective itself, on the subject of perspective.
Oh man.
it gets complicated.
And then someone's going to have a perspective on this video about perspective, or you discuss your perspective on perspective.
Okay, there is a part of my mind. I can tell it's a part of my mind because it's what is the right way to say it? It turns off and on, like when I use this part when I really flex this part of my mind, other parts slow down, the multitask. I can tell that it's like a section of my brain that has to deal with this subject. Now I could be wrong. Like I said, it's just my perspective on it. But here's what I'm trying to say. I think that you exercise a part of your mind when you're doing certain activities, and the skill you're building is not just the activity itself, right? So I'm sure we could think of a lot of examples that follow that. Now, I've given art lessons, and I think I've bored a lot of people with this subject, and probably a lot of other subjects too, because I kind of nerd out on it. Like, isn't this cool? Check this out. Did you know this? And there's all these things I get excited about. Okay, I just want to say that one of the reasons that I have a lot of freedom in drawing what's in my imagination. I'm trying not to make that sound like an arrogant brag, because I'm on a learning curve too. I'm definitely identifying stuff that I want to do better every day. So it's not to say that I nail everything, that I get everything perfect. But when I'm doing it, I'm using a part of my mind that's, I think, just relatively very developed compared to a normal, or compared to other things.
Relatively, I'd say more than relatively. in fact, I would add that before we get going on all this,
we're already going.
Yeah. I would say that in my own creations as an image creator that deals with the same thing, I got a two-dimensional surface. How do I communicate width and depth and movement and space and time, right? In just a two-dimensional surface. I got the same problem. And I would say that the period of time in which I wrapped my head around how to create depth and how to leverage perspective, that really sets your work apart. That is a big maturation of your work, because you are never going to escape your perspective, and you will never
when you say it like that,
you will never make a work that does not have a perspective. You are a perspective always. And so if you neglect that toolkit, that subject, that how to use it, well, you're just leaving a lot on the table. You're leaving a lot of buttons unpushed. And so I would say, pay attention here, because it might get boring. It probably won't.
Probably won't. Because we are
good at perspective, then it's empowering. All of a sudden, people will be like, I don't know how you did that, but you'll know. You know how you did it. And
you'll know.
Do it again.
You'll know. That's it. So I think a part of in every activity, I always feel like I'm making progress when I do hard things, even though I don't love the feeling of trying hard itself.
Mavis is like, hey, I had a daily practice of drawing 9 cubes from 9 different angles. It was challenging.
Nice. That's really good. That's an excellent, I think that's a really excellent exercise. Because like I said, I noticed that when I work on one thing, after I rest and come back from it, I find myself feeling more able to do other things that are not that thing, but things that seem to use the same brain space. So when I do perspective and think through something like this that may be irrelevant to my landscapes, it helps me to, that part of my mind is used to think through the turns and corners of some organic thing like a rock, because it's this part of my mind that visualizes and predicts the three-dimensional shapes that my perspective doesn't show me. So that's, I hope that's making sense. That's what I want to talk about, is that we do perspective exercises to help our mind be quick at seeing three-dimensional shape, not so that we can incorporate these exact patterns into something like landscape. They're not always relevant. It's not always needed. But what I think all of us love is freedom to create what we're imagining. I think we're all after that same thing. Yeah. So here's kind of where we left off.
That's not a foreign concept. I mean, why do you go to the gym? Why do you do curls?
Right. Right. You're right. It's not a foreign concept. But it was. But
in your life, you're going to need really strong biceps. It's not because of that. It's like, because if you just like build up your muscles, they'll be useful in a variety of ways throughout your life.
Right. And yeah. And so all the different, you don't go and exercise. You don't go to the gym and exercise all of the different things you're going to do in life.
Like, I got a long drive each day to work. I'm just going to go work out my right calf.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm going to use just like that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Well, so this is kind of where we left off on the last one. So I'm going to try to promote some exercise here, because I think it's fun. Drawing exercise is fun to me.
All right.
So this is where we kind of left off, that parallel lines have two vanishing points, each set of parallel lines. So this is a large set of parallel lines. We're assuming that they're parallel. I'm choosing. So forgive the crookedness.
It's unlikely that there are a bunch of conical buildings in this city. Unlikely.
Yeah, unlikely. Yeah.
They're probably parallel.
They're parallel. We're going to call them parallel. So they have two vanishing points, not one. And when you look at a square wall, then we have those two vanishing points in play. Now, it's not, because this is where I think we have to forget about the traditional 3-point perspective that you're taught in like lower level art class or high school art class. It can be misleading, because that can lead you to believe that there are 3 vanishing points in a picture. And that is not the case. There's an indefinite number in a picture. So when we have a wall, we actually, a square wall would have irrelevant vanishing points. We would have 4, because we're going to have a vanishing point at the top and bottom of this set of parallel lines. And then we're going to have a vanishing point at the top and the bottom of this set of parallel lines. So when you look, this happens because when you look to the right, for example, we all are familiar with this shape. Let me exaggerate it more like this. Okay. Let's make the adjacent. Well, how do you like that? I use the word adjacent. I'm on the whiteboard with the marker. I was like, I'm going to pull out some vocabulary. Is that even the meaning of adjacent?
That was 3 syllables.
Yeah, I think that's the right meaning, but forgive me if that's not the right meaning of the word adjacent. It meets at 90 degrees. So, right, it gets further away, therefore it gets smaller. So we have the top corner going down, we have the bottom corner going up, and if we decide that the horizon, the theoretical horizon, is right in the middle, then that makes sense that we'd have the same amount of distortion on the top and bottom. So when I paint a mural, I consider these things. When I'm painting a mural on a wall, I know when I look to the right, things are going to shrink toward that corner. When I look to the left, things are going to shrink toward this corner. I remember Mavis shared some work. She was dealing with this exact subject with her mural. She actually has this panoramic mural she's been working on and dealing with the same kind of concept as well. Decisions that you make based on how the image is going to get distorted. So if you paint your ground texture, your water texture, and you just do it parallel to the wall, this is where it actually gets relevant. So we're going to say this is like the GoPro shot. This is the GoPro shot of the room. And we're going to go, actually these, if we actually did it like a single end, these might go like this. We're going to bend these the other way because now we're putting it all inside of a fishbowl like that. There we go. Now, so you're in this room, you got the wide angle. And if we just cropped it out, we wouldn't have this big distorted image. If we just cropped a section, the distortion would be minimized if we just cropped and zoomed. But let's put some water in here now. We're going to go like this. We're going to say this is some water. Okay, really horizontal lines, but I'm going to make these parallel as we all intuitively would do, parallel with the wall itself. We're doing waves and perspective, right? So we're going to do them like that. We're putting water, and I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to put a little boat out on the water so that we have our, so that we have
Ground brush, you're right, man. This is just like a 10mm camera lens.
It's like that. Yeah, it's a familiar look, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I think is
big wide.
What I think is fascinating is that the principles of perspective and distortion and angles is what causes the relationship of angles. In the way I would describe it, in my perspective, I would say perspective is caused by angle relationships. But however you say it, I'm amazed at how much our eyes seem to compensate for this and actually undo this distorting curve. It seems like we have, I'm not a biologist. I don't know the human parts down to this level, but I would suppose I'm suspicious that our eyeballs have a different curve. Like here's the side view of an eyeball. I think that they're more like this, where it's not a perfect circle curve, because when light comes in at different angles, you can tell that it's expanding the far edges so that a square wall does look square when it goes to your peripheral vision. It doesn't do like the did you say a 50mm? How many millimeters did you say this looks like?
10
millimeter. It doesn't look like the 10mm, even though the angles are there. It seems that our eyes actually blow out the edges bigger to compensate for this effect. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that I know that. I'm saying that's what it looks like to me. That's all.
There's something fascinating here that is important to realize. Our minds, they pick up on these angles, right? So I do think about this a lot because it is.
Let's hear it. This actually is this is your career.
It's ground zero of my expertise. Yeah, is things look a certain way, and yet through a camera they appear another way. That discrepancy and that leverage is what you get to play with.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is what you're describing, these like vanishing lines or these points. What do you call vanishing points?
Yeah.
How there's infinite vanishing points. There are lenses. Okay, let me see if I can clearly explain this real quick. All right. So,
okay, it's too late for that, but keep going. It's interesting anyway.
Yeah, now we're pot committed. So when you look at something as a human being, you have this warped effect, right? Where these lines are bent, and if you look up, they go that way. If you look down, they're bending, and you have this sort of fisheye. Okay, there's a lens that corrects this. All right.
Oh, there's actually is a lens whoa, that sounds fancy schmancy.
It is. It's very expensive, and it looks so weird because it eliminates the natural warping of vanishing points. And it
Weird,
turns
yeah.
all of these bent vanishing point lines, which our brains instantly identify as reality.
Yeah.
And you get the most unnatural. Here's what happens. When you remove that bendy effect of parallel lines at a great distance from your eye, it looks like a very small object, right? Think of like a 20-story building and you're standing in front of it. You look up, you look down at the line kind of bends, right?
Yeah.
Now look at a 1-inch building in front of your face.
Yeah.
Okay? The lines do not bend up and down as you look up and down this 1-inch building, right?
Okay.
They're very straight. That makes sense, right? So because we see bending lines on the big building and not on the little 1-inch building, our brains deduce that is a big building. This is a 1-inch building because the lines bend on this one. They do not bend on this one.
That makes sense.
There's a lens. There's a lens that you can get that takes a big building with bent lines and corrects it into straight lines.
Weird.
Thus telling the brain you are not looking at a 40-story building. You are looking at a 1-inch building.
So it totally skews your sense of scale.
And that effect is this right here.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Share a picture with us. Here, let's go full screen.
This is what happens when you reduce perspective.
Whoa, is that real footage? That's like a little animated like claymation movie. That's what it looks like.
This is someone else's work, but this is called tilt shift photography, where the bending lines, see how all the lines are perfectly straight on these buildings?
Weird. It's like Toyland.
It tells the viewer you're looking at tiny objects. You're not looking at huge objects, right? So,
and that's real authentic footage. That's not like
this is real footage.
That's that weird lens.
Real things. But because see these buildings all perfectly straight, no bending, no perspective warping, it tells you this is a tiny little model. These lines aren't long enough to warp, right?
I just had an idea. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry, I'm in my idea to implement.
Anyways, that's the power. That's the power of recognizing perspective, because it'll either tell your viewer you're looking at a massive metropolis or you're looking at a tiny 1-inch model. And here's some credit to who did that video, by the way. So, anyways.
I'm looking at a comment. That's so cute. I don't know if you're referring to the footage, but that's kind of funny. It is cute because it looks little.
Yeah, it is cute. Yes. Yeah. Anyways, tilt shift.
That's really fast.
To illustrate what you're talking about, those bending lines tell us, they ground us in reality and they communicate scale.
That's an amazing example. I honestly would not have predicted that exact effect you just showed of, like, it looks like Toyland. It looks like someone built
it's miniaturizing is what it is.
And so here's my idea, right? Okay, so in politics, at least in our politics here, you know, which are very classy. I would describe our political system as classy, just top-notch, respectable, classy politics.
Exemplary.
Right? Exemplary. Yeah, honor is, you know, speaking and present honor is like the top priority. All of those things. Okay, so you know how we get political ads that go full color black and white, full color black and white. The enemy has to be in black and white because you know we're playing on, because it's not as nice.
So
it's obvious. It's I know that's the thing. It feels slapstick. You know, just it feels way too obvious, but because it works, they still do it. So
at least the lowest common denominator is why.
Yeah. I'm not gonna vote for that guy. He's not even in color. He's not even in skin. His skin is gray. So anyway, you could use that effect, Ben. You could show. Okay, so let's say you're like, you want to do a political ad. I'm not going to say names, but let's say you want to make your you're going to make the ones
like a little Lego man.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thinking. Make somebody look little, and show their audience all cheering and everything, but you do it with that camera, so it's like, we all have our leader. And then you go to the GoPro, And then you do the wide angle GoPro shot in color, you know, and like this kind of perspective, you know, all big and blown out. You know, I'm your leader. And then you got the huge.
It's really powerful. It's really powerful. And you know, what's funny is for those reasons, like here's how in practice how I use it. If I'm photographing adults, you know, women specifically, I shoot on a long lens.
Right. You don't want
reduces the warpy bendy effect.
Yeah.
If I shoot like kids, you know, I'll get the big wide angle warp lens and I'll make them seem huge and comic and stretched because, you know, kids are fun and loose, you know.
Right. So here's why
it's a very powerful tool.
It is. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So here, perspective. So we're going to do a top view of a person, right here. This is just here's something that matters in your art, you know. We're going to say this is a person. Here's the cheeks, the nose, looking down. We got a couple of ears on here like that. And we'll put some kind of hair, you know. Hey, it's top view of Ben here. I bet the back of his hair. Okay. All right. But this is just a silly drawing to illustrate.
I like the mullet. Is that a mullet you just wrapped me with?
Well, I was trying to do like the alfalfa on the back of the head, you know.
No, work the mullet. I used to have a mullet, Joe. You're not the only one that used to have a mullet, okay?
Here's the mullet. We're gonna go like this.
Your little brother Ben thought your mullet was pretty rad and was like, "Hey, I can do that."
Hey, I could do a mullet too. Yeah, right. All right. Top view of a person.
Was not quite as righteous, but
yeah, not quite, but it was a good try. I'm glad.
Yeah, valiant.
I'm glad you did that. Yeah. Okay, person standing up right here. We're gonna put this, and let's put some feet down there, like this. Okay. Here's a fun perspective drawing, right? Okay, let's put some hands hanging down to the side. Put a little thumb in there. All right, there we go. We've got our blown out perspective. When a camera is close, let's say when a point of view, and let's even call it a perspective, if I may. When a perspective is close, let's put it over here. So this is our point of perspective, meaning the point where you're viewing from. That's what I mean by it. Okay, so we're going to go like this. This is an eye looking at this. So it goes like this. That we're gonna look at the left and right side of the head from this angle. Now notice that there's an amount of this that we may not even see because this all gets flattened. So all of this here becomes what am I trying to say? So it touches the face here. See how these lines touch right here and touch right here. So this is going to be our perceived width because this angle goes out and captures the entire image. So this is where the edges of the image come in and focus. And then we see this size. But look at this diameter. That diameter starts right here. That's the diameter. Now, if we go out further, we're going to go like this. We're going to capture that same edge of the head from this point. We're going to go here, and we're going to go to a far away perspective, parallel lines, because this point is going to be way off the canvas, that direction. So now look, the diameter that we're seeing, it's the same subject, but the diameter is wider. So all of this gets scrunched along the same line. To us, it's a flat image. So this person looks skinnier when we stand close. But it's give and take because the nose is going to look bigger. The old selfie shot. Yeah. So this is why it's not a good thing. Like you're talking about, typically if you're shooting someone that wants to look good, you know, let's not restrict it to women. Someone that doesn't want to look big on camera. If you stand far away and zoom in, the person's face and whole body, everything is going to look wider. And for that same reason, if you go to the giant forest. I remember looking at the great big sequoia tree. I kind of have like a moment in my life when everything, all the things I talk about in art, I can think of moments that they crystallized for me. I remember seeing a big sequoia tree and I saw people standing in the, you know, we've all seen the photos of people standing by these giant trees, and there's so many people lined up, you know, and you're just like, you stand next to it though, and it doesn't feel that big. It's because of that effect, because when a person stands close to it, then they are not seeing the full diameter for the same reason that we wouldn't see the full diameter standing close to that previous portrait I did. So a person stands and they see this width here, from here to here. They see this width because it's a round object. And as a person gets closer, they're looking out this way, it changes the relative width to other things in the field of view. So a person can be standing right up against this tree and they can feel like, well, that's not as big as it looks in the photos, because you're not seeing the whole diameter of it. And so you can have, now where this matters, I think getting to the point where things matters, it's a good idea. Because when you're drawing something, you know, you want to have that look of blown out perspective. Let's say you want to make a character and you want that character to be getting right up into the camera, for lack of a better word. You know, you're like, I've got this character and here's my hero shot, and they're going to have this aggressive face, you know, like this. They're my superhero and this is the action shot. And I want them to be like coming right at, if there were a camera, I want them coming right at it. So what I'll do in that situation is really exaggerate that shrinking effect, you know, as much as possible. We're going to really take that chin, bring it down here. We're going to really make this go up here. And, you know, my hero has, what's good hero hair these days?
Mohawks.
Okay. We're going to have
mohawks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know why I didn't remember that. So heroes, obviously.
Ask any 5-year-old.
Yeah. Right here. Here's my hero shot. And, you know, we're going to put a.
Yeah, the sequoia example is helpful. That's they like that out here in the classroom.
Nice. Okay.
Also, there's this cool video, Joe, that I have that's also kind of like exemplary of what you were talking about.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we want to see that. Okay. Now we're going to do a big fist. Okay, so making the edges disappear is a key component. Making edges disappear of things. So that's where, when you're exaggerating perspective on a character or a thing, then you might have a really different kind of, people will just commonly call it foreshortening. But I think that, again, the brain exercise, flexing your brain to understand the moving parts of this, I think just makes you, in general, more fluent in constructing what you're imagining. Because, so this same picture far away, what did you say, Ben? You were trying to show me something?
Oh, yeah. So this is an example of what you're talking about. I deal with this a lot, which is.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Okay.
So this is when you're this is 18 millimeter lens. That's a very wide angle lens. And then we go all the way up to 200 millimeter, which is a very telephoto, like zoom lens, long lens, they call them. So you can see this is standing probably like 2 feet away from her face. And
yeah, very close.
And then we back up, and this is standing probably about 30 feet from her face, right? So it looks like that thing you described.
So different. Yeah.
Back away.
You can see the sides expand out.
Yeah, the sides and pull out,
Yeah.
and then we're
Yeah. And people don't
close.
love that, you know,
So we're
like
close, and we're further, and then we're far, and then we get closer. And as we
yeah.
get closer, it has.
Yeah, it's
So that's kind
like
of
the
what you were
smaller
describing.
look. It's more youthful features because it shrinks a lot of the appearance of face bones. So
Yeah, it
it ends
makes your
up.
skull seem smaller in relation to your
Yeah.
facial features. Or,
Yeah.
if you're facing camera, if you're facing sideways, it makes your ear seem enormous. It makes your
We could have
skull
just
seem enormous.
done this, man. We could have just done this to do the example. Your example's better.
Yeah. I mean, we could.
We could.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things we can.
We could do a lot of useless things here.
Yeah. Whoa. You just said the U word. I wasn't going there. Okay, so I'm doing the same. I'm doing the same angles here. I'm putting the jawline high. I'm putting the chin. I'm raising that so that I can get the feel
Looks
of
like
a head.
I didn't know you could write in what is that? Chinese? You know Chinese characters?
I know a couple. I know that one. Here's a couple.
What is that?
Yeah. All right. So here's our same Mohawk character. And I did the same thing on this character because now we're not putting it right up against the lens. It's not that exaggerated foreshortening. And we're going to make a fist here like I did. Okay. We're going to do this. And how do we make this fist anyway? Okay. Like that. All right. Smaller in relation to the face, but I expanded these things out. And so now here, I'm not going to make that elbow behind it so little this time. I'm going to make an elbow more visible. I'm going to make a shoulder bigger, right? So now we've got that same fist pump posture happening, and we've got the same tilt of the head. We've got hopefully a similar character, but this is where it matters in my drawing because just like Tinyland, it really affects the mood. All right. So here's my recommendation.
Right, Round Brush. It does look like an English punk.
English.
That guy's gonna go listen to some Sex Pistols.
Totally. He's allowed to say that.
Maybe a little Motorhead.
I feel like
a little Motorhead.
Yeah, nice. I feel like if I said that, it might be offensive.
That's true.
Round Brush
co-host can say it, not the host.
No, I was talking about Round Brush, saying that's an English punk, but I guess it's not really that offensive. It is a genre. It's a style, right?
Yeah, no, man. No, the English are proud of being the creators of punk rock. That's where it started.
Yeah.
They hold that. That's like grunge in the Northwest or hip hop in New York or
yeah, totally. Here's what I think of when
country in Nashville. They just English are like we started the whole bloody thing.
This is what I think of when I think of English punk. I think of someone with a generally high cheekbones, deep eye sockets, like this, and an attitude to spare, a good long bony nose, like that. Yeah,
vicious. Round Brush says you draw.
Yeah.
Vicious right now.
This is what I think of. This is my stereotype. Yeah. Okay. So then we're gonna go. Then an English punk needs one of these. Needs one of these.
Yeah, one of those. They definitely need those. They're gonna need some pokey things. Maybe like. Never mind. Too many details.
Yeah. Right. No. We can do it. We can do pokey things.
Metal objects. They like metal objects for some reason, especially metal objects that are stabbing them or look like they could stab something else.
Yeah. Chains, spikes, you want all those things.
Just whatever it takes to keep away the scary feelings,
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
You gotta have eyes like this because you might be using a little bit of substance. Okay.
I mean, he's on the road all day and he's up all night rocking. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Shoulders need to
Burned
be.
out,
You
man.
were, yeah. It's not
Burned out.
gonna. Exactly. Okay. There we go.
There's a reason we don't see our favorite rock and rollers surrounded by grandkids and their great grandchildren and warm fireplaces with puppies playing nearby.
Yeah.
They don't age well. They don't age well.
Right. Right. That's not a good combo. Yeah. We were on our way to being famous. We were almost there. We were going to be a famous band.
Just dodged that cliff.
We would have gone to England. We would have gone and followed in the footsteps of many great stars before us. Okay, let's get back on perspective.
Brown Brush should be our manager.
Totally. Okay. When you draw a 3D
what
cube,
you gents need.
Nice. That's pretty good.
Hello then.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty. Now, whenever I try to imitate an accent, I just like a deer in the headlights. It always goes wrong, and then.
Well, I'm lucky because I got a neighbor.
Okay.
Who's he's from London, but he's a retired BMX racer, right? So,
okay.
Like when we were riding BMX bikes, this guy was doing it professionally. He's in magazines and stuff, and
yeah.
And then he twisted his leg jumping out of an airplane, so he doesn't do it anymore. But I always talk to him in the alley, and he always hits me with the "Hello, Ben. How's it going today?"
Yeah, I like that. It's a nice sound.
Going today?
Isn't it interesting how an accent you're not familiar with makes listening very enjoyable? It's like, it's like adding flavor to, it's like a new sound. Anyway, let's not go too long. Okay, here's what I want to really urge everyone is place a high value on the exercise of drawing three-dimensional objects. Not like the textbook cube, pyramid, circle. I don't care about all that. But this exercise of keeping track of sets of parallel lines is really valuable. So I bet there's a low number of people that will watch this video that can intuitively draw a 3D cube that they are satisfied with. I predict that most viewers are not super happy with their own results on drawing a 3D cube. So this exercise is really valuable because it causes you to get familiar with what perspective does to 3D space. It doesn't just make you better at drawing a cube. So here's my prediction. If you're not, this, a lot of you are super talented. You do better work than me. But for those of you that struggle, you're by a long shot not alone. I bet when you draw a 3D cube, it comes out like that. I've seen this enough times to predict it.
Oh, geez.
You draw a 3D cube.
Look at the top.
Yeah, you draw a 3D cube and you go like this, and for some reason this hang up happens. You lose track of the rule of parallel lines going to a vanishing point, and intuitively you draw the shape that you imagine being on the top of the square. So you have to force yourself to stop before you draw a line. Stop.
Round Brush, he very intuitively connected. This is much like you talking about how clouds get thinner the further away they are.
It is like that. It is like that very much. And that's a fantastic connection, because thinking through this makes it easier for me to think through the organic things, is thinking through these sets of parallel lines, because it doesn't always come down to straight lines, but what it does to a shape is probably a more common effect to be in touch with, is just understanding what it does to a shape, what it did to this rectangle. All right, so do this exercise. Keep track of the vanishing points. 3 lines to that vanishing point, 3 lines to this vanishing point, and 3 lines to that vanishing point. So we have 1 vanishing point, Then we're going to go 2 vanishing points and then 3 vanishing points. And those vanishing points go like this. It's an old exercise. I didn't invent it, but it's a good one because it makes us stay in touch. And this is where things kind of got misrepresented and people started teaching 3-point perspective. It's only 3-point perspective because you have 3 relevant points on a single cube, but a piece of art is going to have so much more than just a cube, and a city can have buildings in any direction it pleases. So it's only relevant for this. Anyway, I digress. It's a good exercise to do.
And it is an exercise, and it is challenging, as we're hearing here in the chat, for a lot of people to do. Nevertheless, worthwhile to kind of like wrestle through, sort out.
It is worthwhile. Okay, let's say you do a painting. All right, we're going to do a painting with lily pads because lily pads are a good thing to do an example with, because I have this shape. All right, now my lily pads are going to get squished. But when you're squishing shapes as they go back, if you were trying to like program this, you'd have to ask the question, well, how squished do they get and at what height? Like, what is the rate? What is the squish rate? So we've got lily pads on a pond, and if we do 1 squish rate, then we're gonna have an image just like the one you showed us, Ben, just like the Legoland, right? It's gonna make your painting look zoomed in. You get a smaller look. So if I were to crop,
Round Brush recalls correctly that the rate of squishing here is exactly. The squish rate is 56 times 800 times pi plus banana.
Very good.
Just FYI.
Everybody get that? Did everybody get that? Yeah.
You're going to want to write that down. He put it in the chat so you don't have to remember it.
Yeah. If we crop this picture, thank you. That's perfectly said.
We'd be so confused without you.
Yeah. Man, it's so nice. People that are able to put really numbers on
it is just being able to just succinctly put it together like that.
Yeah.
Banana. Who would have thought?
So here is your narrow angle, it all comes down to, okay, never mind. I'm not going to participate in that rabbit trail. If we crop this, I'm trying to show something really, I have these really advanced thoughts, and people like Round Brush keep sabotaging it.
This guy, man, he's over here like he's monkeying around, throwing and stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. We're over here trying to understand science, bro.
Yeah. Come on, man.
All right, Joe, you got 30 uninterrupted seconds to get deep. What are you chewing on?
All right, this is what I wanted to show you. When you're doing a landscape, a big mural on a wall is going to feel good at this kind of perspective because you're actually looking down to see the base of the wall by your feet. And it's going to look weird if you look down and see this. So this inside of this rectangle is like a wall painting. I'm not saying it's the right way, but it's a common choice. If you take a photo and paint it of a pretty landscape, it might be more like this. It just depends on that angle of the lens, how wide of an angle it captures. Just like our sequoia tree example, our angle example, how far you have to change the angle to see the left and the right side, the top and the bottom side of your image. It's how far that angle changes. So if we crop in on this, everything is a similar angle. We're not looking way over at the left side of these objects and the right side of these objects. If we look in there, here, let's put some let's put some mountains in there. Let's put some slopes on, so just some shapes on these. Okay, because I was saying left and right side. If we zoom in on this, it can all have like a similar composition. It can seem similar, but the difference is everything in here, we're not seeing any angles that are this direction. But as we move these angles out here in the wide shot, we're beginning to see those because we're looking to our right side, we're looking to our left, we're looking down, seeing the tops. So this is a wide angle picture, good for a giant mural. It'll feel more 3D on a giant mural. But this is the dial that you're turning when you're applying this to landscape painting. So when I'm doing a rendering for a, I had this on the board when we started. When I'm doing a rendering for a customer, this is a rendering for the Juvenile Detention Center. We're working on a mural for a big wall. And so, you know, there's some things that I need to think about. It's when they're looking down on the wall. See, I made this perspective so that you can really see the top. You can look down into the water. I made my water gradient really
Joe,
change.
I think you should change the title of this video from perspective to how to make things look big and small. You know, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. Like, who cares about this concept of perspective? However, we deeply care about trying to communicate the size of an object, the size of a scene, you know, and that's really all we're talking about. Is just like, how do you create the impression that this field of view is something huge or something small or anything in between, you know? Right. You don't have that ability.
That's good.
If you're not considering perspective, you are not communicating the scale of anything.
You're not doing. Well, you know, it's a tool. It's a tool for your tool chest. It's a helpful thing, you know? It's a helpful thing. Let me see if I can reload this and see if there's any we're looking at my Google Photos right now. I wanted to see if those pictures of Northern Lights came through. I emailed it to myself here. Here we go. Look at this. Remember how we were doing Northern Lights? Yeah. This is a hard subject change. Amanda sent me this just a couple days ago. They had this red aurora, magenta aurora borealis up there in Alaska. She sent that. And Jonathan had an awesome picture all the way down in Northern California. Do you know, people in Flagstaff, Arizona, we're high altitude, so sometimes we get a view. We're getting pictures of this aurora the other day. And, you know, I forgot to show it earlier because.
As if your skies weren't beautiful enough already.
Well, you know, we, right. We were doing this polar bear picture and this polar bear painting that you see behind me, this thing here with the Northern Lights. And so it was relevant. And there were some awesome pictures by coincidence that came in.
So even in this picture right here, I just want to draw your attention to, go back to that picture real quick.
Oh, here, let's go back to the picture. Sorry.
Even in that picture right here, you know, at first glance, you might look at that picture and you're like, all right, so it's an aurora, it's some trees, right?
Yeah.
The aurora with the trees. But then if you look at the angle of the trees,
that's it.
Your brain, your brain is intuitively aware you are beneath tall trees.
Yeah.
Because the lines all go in toward the top center. If you were far away from these trees and zoomed in and you saw these exact same trees, that tree on the far left, that tree on the far right, but you were very far away and zoomed in.
They kind of bow a little bit too. That you can see the slight, even on these this small frame, you can see a little bit of a bowing effect.
Yeah, you know what the first question I ask myself before I film anything, really anything, before I create any image, I think to myself first, where should I see this from? That really is the first question.
Man, that's a good question. What is the perspective? Yeah.
And you know, here we are, Joe and I, we are who we are. And so my immediate response when I hear something like that is, gosh, that's so useful in life. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Before taking action, think about where should I see this from? Where should I see this situation from? In order to navigate this, it would be useful to understand the influence of perspective on this situation? How is it communicating the circumstances to me? How is it communicating to everybody around me? It is all set in the framing of perspective.
That's it. That's it. The framing of perspective. That's it. You know, it's funny how that matters in a movie in time space as much as it matters in still three-dimensional space. You know, okay, here Mary added perspective to her clouds. So she's got a much more 3D looking sky. Yeah, they're getting smaller.
That is a plane. That is a plane of clouds. I love
it makes a world of difference for a picture. And you know, the same could be done on the ground. We could do a lot of horizontal lines on there and get the same kind of effect. You can see how very, very squished I make lines. It's amazing to me the meaning of a tiny strip across the middle of a painting. This can have so much information, perceived information. I do very little work to accomplish it, but it's knowing that that little strip is going to cause a feeling of distance. And so it adds all of this information to a picture with just a couple tiny strokes because of that perspective.
JS also says perspective matters. It's what tells you all the objects are together in the same setting.
Ah, okay. Cool.
So, you know, you got to be aware of how object shapes are affected by the perspective you are seeing them from. And if they don't all abide by the same perspective rule, you're going to get stuff that doesn't feel like it belongs. That's quite accurate.
True. That's true. Jonathan has this is the same event from Northern California that Amanda sent me pictures of. This is cool, man. It was all over. And, you know, I was curious, you know, if we were going to see, like, since there are always these vertical band, there's these vertical, whatever you want to call them, orientation to this light, to that aurora. I always look for the perspective in that, you know. I was curious if we were going to see that, but oddly, I see the perspective of his photo vanishing just like those trees, but then these don't seem to have that. And I'm wondering, Ben, tell me if you think I'm off base, if these are actually pointing at the round globe, and so that makes these different in orientation than this pointing just straight up parallel close to us. What do you think? Is that a wild thought or what?
Your mouse is moving in different time to what you're saying.
So confused.
So it's not trying. Use object names instead of this. That'll help.
Steve C sent in a cool painting. That he saw.
Yeah, people have been sending in stuff. We can check it out.
Yeah, we're checking it out. Steve sent in a cool painting. Oh, nice. Reproducing dragons. That's cool. Or they're just doing the awesome.
Check out that perspective.
What's
Those dragons are huge.
That's funny. I like that. It's you know, I think there's a lot of meaning that could be pulled out of this painting.
This is a fantastic image. I like it. Yeah.
Good perspective. In it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
It's fun to look at. You know, perspective makes things
I'm just catching up to the finer details here.
Yeah. Let's keep it family.
I'm like,
friendly.
Okay.
Man,
okay, Steve.
Yeah, I love clicking on images before I review them. It's a great thrill. You know, what are we gonna see? What are we gonna see next? Tyler's been working on one. I haven't seen it. Now I have. That's it. Hey, nice job, Tyler. That's cool. All right. So this is an example of very mildly stated perspective. So this is not like real blown out wall mural. You know, this one feels like that not so huge because the difference in closer and further is not extreme. You know, the angles are are not as extreme. So it's cool, just different style. You know, smaller paintings tend to look, it looks real fish-eyed if you put the wide, if I put this kind of super wide perspective on a small picture, actually you're looking at it on a small screen. So you can see that it has a feeling of being kind of overly, the background just seems overly shrunk. You know, it just feels kind of weird when it's on a small picture. So here's a good example of one that's more fitted for a smaller canvas. And beautiful job on that grass. Nice green grass perspective. I love these autumn kind of colors on the ground. And that even feels like an old painted iron rail. Maybe it's just because I'm familiar with what it is, but good job with your textures. That's really cool.
You know,
nice
Tom's
job,
got
Tyler.
an interesting question here, Joe.
Let's hear it.
He says, since you're talking about the lights going around the curve of the atmosphere, what if your wall goes up and curves over your head like a dome?
Whoa.
How do you take the curved surface into account?
Right. Okay. That's a great question. I might need to rehear
before
it.
Joe goes off, I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to say, you know that new place in Vegas called the Sphere? Maybe you don't, maybe you do. It's a dome, and it's a venue where you like go see bands play or whatever, but it's a sphere, it's a dome. And then you're just looking up at the surface of the sphere from your audience position. And it's like completely immersive. You feel as though you're in another world. Why does it feel that way? Because the sphere is perpetually equidistant from your eye, regardless of where you look.
Yeah, totally.
And so it does not appear to be a curved surface. It appears to be a flat wall.
Yeah.
So
nice.
It would be a visual trick on your eye. It would be an illusion if you were standing in front of a wall that wrapped over your head like a dome. It would appear flat. That would be my hypothesis.
Yeah. Well, so I think the absence of information of lines will default to dome, because our vision, like you were saying, our vision is naturally dome. We're looking from a perspective all around. So
yeah, we're a radius.
Kind of. Yeah. That's an interesting thought. Okay. I don't know. You got me curious how I would do a round shape. I remember ceilings that are kind of like the fancier ceilings that are like this, and they have these kind of triangular sections that come up where the walls come down like so, and maybe you have like a capital here, you know, and then you have maybe a column coming down here. Oh, let's draw it out. Let's get a visual.
Yeah, well, Tom is interested in threading that needle between creating that effect, but having it still be perceivable that it's a dome and not a flat wall, right? So he wants to create oddness, but he doesn't want to get lost in it, you know.
Right. So I think that this is a situation when imagination fills in blanks. It defaults to certain things, you know. So like if you looked up at a round ceiling, and this ceiling is going to be a dome. So you can rely a lot on light and shadow to create rounded effects. So if in my lighting, I have one stage of lighting here, one shade of brightness here, and then it keeps changing as it goes out like this. It's following this gradient, and you could choose what's brighter, what's darker, whatever it is. But when your lighting just has these shapes of a circle, it says that the three-dimensional shape of that ceiling is a circle.
Good idea.
You know, and so then if we do something to give it away, you know, let's put some perspective lines in it. So here's our, you know, so then we have a dome going up like that. When you have two things telling the same story, you know, I think that those gradients are.
You have validation, sweet validation.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, I think that's a good one. Drawing, and you know, let's say you're like IMAX theater? Is that a universal term? Do we all know what an IMAX theater is? I don't know if that's like just
enough
something
people
low.
know. It's
Yeah,
fine.
the big
An
circle
IMAX
screen
theater
and
is a movie theater where you have an enormous square screen that
yeah,
you're
and you're sitting up here, and there's like these special chairs, you know, that elevate you, and it's like, you have this big old arm that puts you in there. You know, we got all these things, and all these people are like, wow, cool, because they're watching this movie from this amazing perspective in this IMAX theater like this. Okay, so we got this big circle screen. My perspective, forgive it, it's a little bit crooked. This would be a disappointing IMAX. But it's very hard to tell that it's a dome. When you're here, my point is, when you look at this big on screen, you don't really have any way of seeing the dome shape of it. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a successful illusion. In fact, it's made that way to be hidden, to be obscured, to become something else. You know? That's
it. So the answer to dome structure is gradients, color value gradients. There's a value, here's another value, here's another value, and then they get exponentially closer as they change. We have
your lines won't tell you, so you'll need value to change to tell you.
Yeah, that'd be it. That's how I would approach that problem. Here's an interesting thing from Aaron, and you know, he did a beautiful train and snow project. He's moved on, and Aaron says, I've started this picture on my van. It's a turtle shell. I was keeping it in basic shapes, but I got carried away, started adding details. What would you do with my color scheme, or add shading to the shell to make it more like your style? Ooh, that's a tough order. I appreciate the value. Thank you very much, Aaron. Very high compliments, very flattered. Thank you. You don't have to say those nice things. Let's see. What would I do with this? Tortoise shell on a van. Cool idea, by the way. Turtles in a half shell. Remember that? It makes me think of that.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Tom, real quick said, like the Renaissance artists painted figures on the churches, and they look right. And if they were on a flat surface, they would be weirdly stretched. However, that's kind of like, you know, if you look at a map of our globe, you know, it is quite warped from the reality of it being very different because it's wrapped around a globe. So there's just
okay, cool.
These effects, you know, the way they're showing up in the world, you know. Right.
That's a good one. You know, this is a tough problem. This one, I like tough problems. See, so Aaron's talking about, like, how would you make these 3D? So we're looking at a big tortoise shell texture. How do you make the 3D pyramided shape on a flat surface? This is like the dome. This is another perspective.
What's that? Here's how I would do it. As a photographer, there's a rule. Don't let the big light get behind you. Okay? That means your brightest light should not be behind you, because then you're shooting from the perspective of the light, and the light is not creating any shape or depth.
Okay.
It is just hitting the face. So if you want to communicate depth and shape, put the light on the side or behind the subject. So if you want those little things to be pokey, you got to establish a shadow side and a highlight side. You got to
yeah, right. Okay, but
from the side.
Yeah, okay. I think your logic is solid, but here's the problem I have. I think that if I looked at something that had centered lighting, I would still be able to perceive. There'd be other indications to help me perceive it. You know what I mean?
Well, like if it's bright on the tip and it gets deep and dark like grass in between.
Well, I just think if I was looking at a tortoise shell and the light was directly behind me, I still would have the three-dimensional perception based on some other. Not as much.
The mountains. Think about the mountains at high noon. How are the mountains
lit?
Do you ever at high noon look at mountains and say, gosh, look at the glorious shape of these mountains? Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
How often at sunrise or sunset do you see the mountains with light wrapping around them and the shape defined of all the nooks and crannies? And you say to yourself, look at these mountains.
Right. Okay. Here's some other effect. Yeah. So you're specifically talking about lighting.
Choosing
right?
a perspective. You got to choose a perspective.
Okay. So you're talking about like the lighting we have in like when we light something, you can see on my picture here. I've got real obvious chosen lighting, and it allows me, just like Ben is saying, it allows me to get it forces the perception of these shapes. It's very forceful, and in a good way. It makes it obvious, the shape. But if I put the light right at my back, it has a way of flattening an image, right? That's on track with what you're describing, right? Ben, like a camera flash is not a great look because it just boom, just right in the face. Shadows are equal on all sides, lights right in the middle. It's weird.
Obvious. Depth is not as obvious.
Not as obvious. But let's say you're doing this symmetrical design and you're like, yeah, but I don't want to always have the light shining from one side. What if you don't want that? What are the other? I want to experiment with the other things you can use. So another element you can use in a picture is reflection gradients. So here's something besides the direction of light that gives me a shape on this water. It has reflection gradient at this angle. It has a gradient of reflection color at this angle, which is grayer. Universally tends to be grayer because it mixes multiple colors of light. Okay, as we change the angle and look straight, we see subsurface color. I like to call it underwater color. So here we have less color, more gray. Here we have more color. This is a trick that can be used. It's more subtle, but it can be powerful in creating three-dimensional shape on something. And it's not direction of light based. It's your angle to the surface. So I bet we could apply this. I bet we could. We're going to try it to this.
We're going to try it.
I want to see if I can do it. So let's sample this color with my little swatcher tool. I'm going to make it more gray.
You know how you do with grass too? You have like grass get darker down in the crevices and then brighter as it comes out.
And that also, right. So ambient light coming from all directions, we can assume that there would be less of it. If we put general light from above, we can assume there'd be less. So let's make this darker. Less of it, deeper in the crevice between. So we're going to go like this. We're going to put a darker color here, darker color around here. We're going to do it on all sides. Let's go a little bit skinnier on our line, like this.
While you're doing that, Zitica put in the chat here. Zitica, cool name, Zitica. Says they were reading about this yesterday in Edward Terry's book. Edward.
Okay.
Fun way to spell Edward Lantieri's book. It says you should never sculpt with direct lighting. I'm assuming direct meaning like from your POV, because it's hard to judge volume like that. They say use 3/4 lighting. So same kind of 3/4 being just kind of light source off to the side a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Zitica, that sounds kind of like the same concept. Hard to judge depth when you are the perspective of the light, Easier to see depth when you have an angle that is different from your own eye.
Own eye. That's good. Okay.
Which is kind of poetic because, how do you better perceive the shape of the thing? Introduce another perspective.
Oh, what? Are we talking about meaning of life right now? That just blew my mind. What you said. Try to say that in politics today.
Yeah. Hey, here's the thing I told my niece once. I told my niece this once, and she said it's pretty cool. So I'm going to say it here too, just in case it matters.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Consider a soda can. Okay. From one angle, if you look at it from the side, you see two flat sides, you see a flat top, a flat bottom, you see a rectangle. Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking at a soda can. You see more or less a rectangle.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Now turn that soda can, tilt it over on its side and look at it. All right. Now you're looking at a circle. Okay. You're just looking right down the barrel of it, right at the bottom of it, or right at the top, you see a circle.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you saw a rectangle at one angle, you saw a square or a circle on the other angle. Are you looking at a rectangle or a circle? No, only by you looking at it one way and opening up your perspective to see it from another angle are you able to now triangulate that this is a three-dimensional cylinder, right? You get a deeper, more complex, clear, accurate understanding of your environment when
you got to look at it from different angles.
Up to other people's perspectives.
Dude, that's blowing my mind. But where? Okay, you're leaving
all
out.
Have a perspective so that we can fill it all in for each other, and all of us get to know it better when we listen to each other. It's kind of beautiful. Anyways,
but how does that apply when your perspective is the right one?
It doesn't. Which is why that is a distorted way of thinking. It doesn't work.
I'm trying to fit this into my way of life and my paradigm. I don't know how to fit that into how right I am.
Okay. Well, it's true.
Yeah, I lost your image there. All right. So we're working on this. Where was I? We're on this window. See, okay, so I added my grayer and got darker as I went down into the crevice, and I did indeed get a more three-dimensional look. It's, I would say like Ben was saying, if we chose a direction of light, it'd be more dramatic for sure. However, this did make a difference. For the colors are kind of weird. I chose some weird colors, but they're cool. Let's put some of that bright yellow. So here we're putting our colors on the top, like bright light is hitting that. We're going to blend it around and do this. Saturated colors where the angle is facing toward me. So I'm just trying to do an angle trick with this rather than just using the light and shadow. And if I added the light and shadow to this, then I'd have two things telling the same story. But here I'm purposely not choosing a direction of light because it's a challenge. That's a tough thing to do. And so where it gets more gray and darker, that tells us that it's going downhill. Notice that this feels like a portal. It's kind of like a window into a deeper space. And that is because of that effect. Saturated colors have deep. I think it was intuition why people started saying deep colors for things that were real saturated, because they do indeed look deeper when they are saturated, because they simulate translucent light passing through things like this. Saturated colors in the cloud relative to the grays, relative to these more saturated, makes a deep translucent look. It's coming through. All right, so let's go back here. Let's finish this up. I'm just going to choose some lighter color. You can now, this was just the development this week. If you go to colordriver.com, you can open up this exact app. You can open this app. Okay. At colordriver.com.
We can open your app wherever we want.
Stop making fun of me. It's not funny. Okay.
Well, we're over here talking about the statue of David and stuff in the chat anyways. So.
Oh man, it doesn't even. They lost interest in my tortoise shell. That's it.
I mean, maybe there's like two or three people that are all hung up on the statue of David.
Okay. One of these segments is different. Which one? Remember those tests in school? Which one doesn't belong?
Like the
was
other.
That wasn't that the most broken? I feel like that was public brainwashing. Honestly, which one of these does not belong? And then somebody
normalizing profiling.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, someone that looks different than the rest walks into the classroom, and you've been taught to identify the thing that doesn't belong. I think that was just such broken teaching in public school systems. You know what I can say about that, Ben? All in all, you're just another brick in the wall.
Oh,
I did that for Round Brush. I did that for Round Brush,
That's true. That's true. He starts feeling lonely over there on that island all by himself, when over here in the mainland, all the real life is going on, and just over there in that tiny little island.
Man.
Oh man, American exceptionalism is hilarious.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. This is an awesome painting, by the way.
Coronilla did this. This is pretty awesome because this is what makes art and not photography, is that it intentionally moves away from exact reproduction to, I don't know, it like spotlights flowing shapes and things by building things out of those flowing shapes. I think it's really cool what Cornea's mixed here. Some natural paint blending, pouring maybe, where the swirling and mixing of the paint creates shapes and then turns it into this mystical foresty scene. I think that is just fantastic.
Yeah, so
I love it. Cornea says, what do you think? I think it's totally awesome. And I love your choice of bright color and fantastic contrast of goldish peach colored light hitting that kind of turquoise color. That is fantastic. Let's look at another one. She's got more than one here. Ooh, that one looks very underwaterish, or like misty haze. This is the same effect when you want light. Cornea has illustrated this very well for us. When you want fog, you desaturate. Reflection or fog, same principle. Desaturate as you lighten. Desaturate. And that will create more of a fog or an atmosphere, something overlaid on top. When you want a light source or something coming from deeper within, shining out of it, not something that's overlaid on the top, then you go the other way. You saturate as you get lighter. So I just thought I would point out, she did two pictures that have both the two illustrations. This one looks like a light in the background because it gains color intensity as it lightens. Do you see that? We're grayer here. We get more and more colorful as we get lighter. So that relationship, I talk about it in every show, I think, but it's so empowering to be able to create light when you want to create light. So we gain color as we get toward white, as we go lighter. And so we get light. But then on the other hand, if we lose color while we lighten, we get fog or reflection like this. I used it to get reflection. Fog and reflection, very similar color patterns on those.
Joe, do you have any thoughts on the statue of David?
I just wonder, forgive me for going here. It's so juvenile, but he did let's keep it family friendly. The private parts, I imagine that being an awkward process, spending a long time chiseling out the best looking genitals,
I suppose, but I'm the type of guy that's going to sit there with a chisel on a rock, like carefully shaping.
Yeah.
It's probably sufficiently curious.
It's an awesome sculpture. Let's not leave out that it is a magnificent study of anatomy, and it shows ideals of the time. It shows like superhero-ish ideal form of the time that's not the same as today.
Apparently they had to make a leaf to cover up the bits to show the queen because she was not able to handle the rawness of David. Round Brush times in here.
The Michelangelo's David is, I heard that when people saw it, they instantly said this is a masterpiece. It was like from some spare piece of granite that he saw. And, I probably got the story skewed, but I think it's pretty awesome. The thought of hand carving a giant piece of stone to that level beautiful anatomical shape. It's inspiring, and you can, you know, my thoughts are that it's an amazing accomplishment. That's my thoughts.
There you go, guys. You heard it here first.
It's, you know, when I think about somebody with a hammer and chisel, it's amazing. Okay, that one was from Andy, and I didn't read the message. How can I improve the shiny scale look? Oh, I love that question. I mostly like knowing the answers. My fish looks drawn, not painted. Help me. Help me. Don't know what the rest of that message says, but I get it. I get it. We want the shiny scale look. Okay, the answer.
I think that was a reference to Star Wars. No, that's what that was.
Oh. Now
they
I
were
get
referencing Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Kenobi, Obi painted Kenobi. Okay.
I don't know what that
Thank
means.
you.
It's a question about perspective, Joe. They have a very specific question about the Obi angle of Kenobi.
Man, I didn't get it. That's my bad. Okay, we're gonna refresh.
I know
this.
how to paint Obi, but if I want it to look like Wan Kenobi, how do I do that?
Let's put this in here. Okay, you can go to colordriver.com and use this just like I did. This is a touch screen. It's made for touch screens. You can also use your mouse. You know, it'll draw with the oh, we got to set that.
Yeah, Leanne likes the perspective of that net catching that fish. That's cool.
Let's redo it. Okay, just put it on whatever layer right there. Click the picture you want off your computer. All of this, none of this is uploaded to any server or anything. It all just disappears as soon as you close the web page. Set the image where you want it on the screen, and then you can use, I'm using 2 fingers on this to zoom. You know my app. If I show you what I'm doing on the computer, you know, you can just zoom like this with your screen. So I'm using my touch screen. I haven't tried it with my phone yet. Probably won't work, but just so you know what I'm doing. All right. So let's make these look like shiny scales. I'm just going to use dots. Let's make a size that's scale-ish. And let's put reflection of the blue water. See that dark strip? Beautifully done dark strip. So we're just going to systematically go through this and start putting some blue reflection mixed in with your scale color. So I'm going to use the color that you've got on there, and then I'm going to make it bluer, which is kind of a red I see. So we're going to just go over to the purple zone like this. Let's go in here and get that kind of blue. It's a half and half mix. All right. There's not an exact right color for this. It's just you know, something that can be perceived as some scales. Let's go along here and let's do a stripe of reflection of your water, because so right there, yeah, I don't know if you'd see it through the net, but you can see immediately that reflecting the colors and just making an estimation of what the mix of the reflected color with the object color would be. As we bend this tail up, we're going to have less of it because it kind of changes the angle. All right, let's put some of that. And then let's say that we've got some atmosphere, like we're putting our landscape in this object. Now let's go to a gray, because maybe we got like some dark colored trees. We got light from the clouds. So I'm just going to choose a gray. Gray is always a safe bet. Let's make it lighter. And let's just go across here.
Agreeable gray, they say.
Nice.
Agreeable gray. That's the color of my apartment walls.
Really? Nice.
I'd like to paint them.
We're just going to do some of these colors in here. You know, it could be all kinds of colors. Just any. Now it'd help to have a technique that actually, you know, doing scales, I'd probably want to do them in rows. So, you know, maybe I would, you know, I'm thinking I don't like that. color I just put on. You got to try stuff to know that you hate it. I'll just go like this. I'm going to do a darker color again, because the horizon is probably darker colors than the water. So as the side of this fish turns, I'm going to go back to some darker colors. Let's see if we can actually get some scaly patterns with this. I'm going to use that color again, and I'm just going to go in these diagonal paths. You know, it's like, okay, diagonal paths like this. I'm just going to work in diagonal paths. This is how I did these scales on. I did this big Leviathan painting where I did this dragon with lots of scales. And you can actually do very dramatic reflection effects with the scale pattern. It's kind of fun to just do dots that are, man, this is a terrible job at trying to get that scaly texture. I'm going to give up on it. This is the theme of the show. You know, what the point I really want to drive home is when something doesn't go right for you, give up, stop trying. That's what you got to do. Okay, I'm going to go all the way to my skinniest line, and I'm going to swatch the dark color that you've got, which is black, I think. And we're going to make some scale lines. I'm going with the easier method for these scales now. How's that look? Does that look more like scales? Oh yeah, we got scales. Let's do some crisscrossy lines for scales. Okay. That's how we put some reflection on that fish. And then I'm going to take this darker reflection again. Let's make it a little bit lighter. Oh, whoops, wrong dial. This one right here. Go a little bit lighter. Let's go very gray. Okay, I'm going to put a dark strip on here. All right, and then this is going to be another stage of reflection. So on a cylindrical shape, on a round shape, you have stages of reflection. All right, that's the wrong way to say that. Stages of reflection. You have a lot of different colors moving around that cylinder. So I'm just going to put like my environment colors. So this is going to be like the colors that are on the other side of that water's edge. Maybe some trees, maybe some rocks. It doesn't really matter what they are. I'm just trying to get a believable kind of gray and put a strip of a different color in here so that I get that look of this rounded, shiny body reflecting a different color. And it's that the presence of really different colors along the strips, you know, depending on the way your shape is bending, that makes a look of reflection. I'm going to take
I like that phrase, depending on the way your shape is bending. I'm going to try that. Next time somebody asks me, how you doing? I'm going to say, oh, you know, the shape is bending.
The shape is bending. Yeah. All right.
It's just the way the shape is bending. Like, what is a day if not a day that bends the shape?
Yeah. Nice. I like how you pulled meaning out of that. That's what you're here for. Make things that I say sound.
I basically just tune out for a while, and then every once in a while I hear something and I go, oh, that has my attention. And then I interrupt and then go.
Yeah. That's funny. You know, there's people that think that way. Yeah. All right. It's funny how certain things grab your attention, and other people, they just don't. It just is not going to grab their attention. You know?
Yeah.
All right.
You know, James, our oldest brother, there are 5 brothers in our family. And James, the eldest, he said once that he was being sarcastic, and he's like, oh, you know, we always tend to get excited when we find a pattern, something that works in one medium, therefore it must be true across mediums, right? For example, because Joe is bending a shape here, the way the shape bends, I'm thinking, oh, that's life. That's just a person going through life, their shape being bent, right? Just because they're similar does not mean they're the same. However, I get excited when things have this pattern. When there's
Yeah.
when like the way a soda can behaves is the way that society behaves, you know?
Totally.
Like they don't prove each other, but you do learn about both of them by understanding each of them, you know? And I just love that. So I feel
Nice.
like I understand more deeply about a thing instantly when I just hear some offhand remark that's got nothing to do with it, you know?
Nice.
It's that whole
Yeah.
biblical thing. It's like, you know, consider the lilies. Like, what are you going to learn about life from looking at a flower? A lot, you know?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to learn about. Yeah, perspective is an important thing, and I feel like perspective in life, not talking about the drawing, is super valuable. You know, if you feel like, for example, I think we're all familiar with the effect that being entitled can have on someone's attitude. You know, we've all
Yeah.
seen plenty of that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. So on your fish, make it darker. You got to make it darker because you're close to a pure white across a huge amount of your fish. So there's not a lot of room to make your final glowing reflection. Like you need a reflection of the light source on shiny scales. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this. Hopefully this works. Okay. We're going to go into edit mode. Yes, it worked.
Into edit mode.
And then we're going to go like this. We're going to take the brightness level down. Okay. All right. We took the brightness level down. Now, the reason I did that is because I want to be able to add a white to it and for it to make a difference. You don't have to do this to your whole painting. It was just faster than me redrawing it. Okay, so we take the brightness down and, let me change the parameters of this brightness. No, we don't want to do it in a lower blend. Here we go. Maybe we'll go like, I want to keep my colors in there, so I'm just messing with these. I'm also just trying to show off this cool control dial that I did, there we go. Nope, we don't want that. Okay, I'm going to keep it here. I darkened the image. Okay, now I'm going to go back to draw mode. Is it going to work? Yes, it worked. Okay, I darkened the whole layer, and oh man, let's download it. Let's download it just in case this destroys it. Okay, now we're going to get pure white, and we're going to go like this. Now I have a light color that's going to look like reflection. Let's make it all the way gray. All right, so let's go along any area that I think will be, forgive the glitch in my program. Doesn't work as good as I hoped. There's something for me to fix. We're going to put a strip across there of that light color, and it's going to look like reflected light. Let's do this. Hang on a second. We're going to reload that, put the file in. I downloaded it. It has that annoying square, but at least it won't do that glitchy thing. So we're going to go like this, set that image. We're going to get our light color like this and put reflection across this belly. So now when I go like this, this is going to make a difference. So you got to work dark. When you know that you're going to be doing reflection, you want to work dark as you're able, within reason, not losing the colors that are important. So this really helps. Now, it's not that you can't capture reflection, but I think these glistening final little bright spots are real important part of it. Let's put some here too. Let's put a bright reflection spot right there. Let's maybe put a little bit. I accidentally got some on that. Okay, there we go. This is my suggestion to you is to do these. It's not, I didn't really ace that one, but that is the way I would handle it. I would do the strips of colors and just make dots of scales that are the colors of the environment that is around. That's what I would do to get the reflection color. I mean, I would give myself like a B on the end result, but here you go. You're welcome for that.
I'm gonna say B plus.
B plus.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's glimmering, you know?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then the little purplies, those definitely look like light catching that water and bouncing off. So
Yeah, it's got some, yeah, it's got some good point. Thank you. Thank you for restoring my dignity a little bit. Let's
no,
grab
I mean,
some-
I'm just over here just tapping away, talking about our relationship and our parents and our childhood and blah blah blah.
Whoa, dude, you're getting
So,
deep
you know.
over there. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna I'm gonna put a little bit more of this blue on here. Let's go a little bit lighter. I think the yeah, there we go. That's some reflection. We got a darker surface now. We're gonna add so do this in the shape of scales, not just in long strips, but I'm just trying to go fast.
Yeah, wet.
There we go.
Tyler says it looks wet.
Yeah, there you go. Get that sky reflection on there. Here, let's put some real light gray blue on this belly too. We got to go lighter. Yeah, there we go. Right there.
Cat says, Cat Marie in the woods says, wow, you just curved that fish.
Yeah, edge, that's just like the talk about the dome, the circle, using value gradients instead of lines to create shapes. So it's that edge gradient. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate you pointing that out.
The fish tail is shadowed.
Oh, it is very well done. You know, you could add some translucent light to that. Come to think of it, you could take this color, so you can make some light shine through that and make it look like a very transparent, thin tail by going like this. You just go, take that color. We're going to make it lighter, okay? Lighter, yellower, more saturated. Yeah, drag left for more saturated. Boom. That's our color. Let's put some lines going through here. Then we got some sunlight going through. Let's blend it so that it's not, so that it's a gradient instead of just a solid color. All right, here's a gradient that you can use to add more transparency to your fishtail. Okay, not the best that I ever did. Okay, hold on.
I mean, it's close to the best. Close.
Thank you. I'm working on it.
Hey, just wanted to stop and say what up to Ibrahim Koskun in Istanbul, Turkey, Joe. Istanbul, Turkey.
Istanbul? Whoa.
Turkey.
Nice. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. That's very cool. All right. That's it. That's what we had in the inbox today. Lost Ben's video. This, you know.
No, dude, I'm here. I just didn't, you know, I didn't want to do the whole huge head effect, you know.
Oh, I see. I got you. Yeah. You know? Oh, I see. There you are. Okay. Hey, let me see what we got. You know what? I didn't think of, you know what? I accidentally just went to this thing. I really should look and see if we do have some other people might have emailed me.
People sent you stuff. Who sent you something? Somebody sent you something. Mary sent you a fish.
Oh, here we go.
Was that Mary's we just looked at? Is that Mary's fish?
No, that was Andy. That was Andy. Cornea sent in that cool art that we looked at, the swirly art. Tyler sent one in. Uncle Ronald's gate there. Jonathan Mary sent one in. Oh, we got other stuff. Okay, Mary sent. That was the first one. Okay, these came in since. Steve.
Yeah, we got
sent. Oh yeah, right. Mom and Dad Dragon. Okay, and then we
moving right along.
Okay, downward perspective on some koi. Very cool. This is the last one. Right here. Very nice. Love the fat bellies. I love those.
They
That's
are
really
fun,
cool.
right? Koi fat bellies.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like them.
Okay, so let me say, when you do these, here's something you can add to. I'm not trying to tell you to change this. It's really, really cool. Nice piece of art on this. I'm curious what you painted that on. You know,
It's
what
like a
is the
stone.
round? Yeah, or is it a round? I see canvas
No, it's like
texture
a
on there.
oval.
There's canvas
oval.
texture. Maybe just a circular canvas.
Yeah,
Okay,
board.
so you can use that same trick to get depth in your water. More saturated color where you want it deeper, and then toward the edges, it's not because it really has to look that way. It's just a trick. That's all it is. It's a trick to add depth. Is you can saturate more deep blue color in the middle or whatever color you want under the water, and then make it a little bit more grayish as it gets lighter around the sides, and then you can have some like transparent looking depth to your picture, and you can put blue colors on the sides of them to make them go into that atmosphere too. Which blue on a gray is going to be like a gray violet, gray red, a red gray, because it goes toward violet. Anyway, jibber jabbering back up. You did a great job on this, Mary.
Gray, violet,
Very
magenta,
good.
blue, green, color
Man,
shapes.
I realized
Vectors
that I
and
was
things.
sounding like that. Yeah.
And paint and color.
That is what I just did. Oh, man.
TLP
What is going
says,
on around here?
TLP says they typically have trouble with reflection, so that's helpful that you were doing the reflection.
Okay, nice. That's good.
Fishy fish there, that was cool.
Yeah, good.
Cat Marie in the Woods gave you a whopping C+ on your job there, so
On the
that's above average.
See, yeah,
Above average.
it's where I've always been.
That is
That's just
1+.
right. See, that's how I made it through high school. Was that C? That
Just plus.
I passed. Do you know what that's called? That's called getting it done. I passed.
Efficiency, man. It's called efficiency.
Yeah, because I was using the rest of my energy on being cool and learning.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with an A+?
Yeah.
An A+. You know how much work it takes to get an A+?
Yeah, it's so much. I don't know why people do it.
If you're gonna go to college or something, maybe it's helpful,
Who does that? Who goes to college?
Am I gonna put college on this wall?
I can't believe my daughter essentially put herself through college. She worked, she made money, she applied for scholarships, she got them, she maintains high grade. But I'm like, where did you come from? What planet are you from? This is like, okay.
Yeah. She got you guys' brains and curiosity and
dude, the combination.
And then this hard work ethic just came out of the ether, out of the clouds. It came.
I don't know what happened, man. It's amazing to watch, though. I can tell you that. All right, this is final thoughts. Final thoughts.
In conclusion,
I just want to show you that
the next 2 hours.
No, we're not going to do that. This came up one time, and I think it'll be handy if you ever find yourself making a picture on a wall, and you look to a corner, and your water looks like it's hitting a corner, and it looks wrong. Okay, here's what you do. As you're going across your horizon, we're going to put a horizon going through. This is closer to eye level, so it's not bending, because it's just going straight across. What you do is you make them go more downhill as they approach a corner below eye level, which is going to end up being level. So we're just going to make these level waves here. Okay, we're making level waves. And so you fill up your wave texture. Now notice that here I just drew them level, but what that actually means on the wall is that here I was sloped downhill. Go down to the corner, the lower you are on the wall. And that's how you can make the wall itself. See how when I make it, it'll create this awesome illusion. It really is cool, where it feels like the picture, like the corner, it has a window effect. It makes the corner into a window to your mural if you just slope your ground texture water downhill as you approach the corner. And then same with clouds up here. Okay. If we want that window effect, we've got a mountain going through the corner. We got clouds. Okay, so to get this nice window effect of some clouds and mountains, we slope up. I say uphill, but I just, we slope up toward the corner. It's funny. Why do I keep saying hill? Why do we add it? Why do we add in hill? Why do I add in hill? Why is it uphill?
I mean, everybody knows hill. Everybody knows hill.
Uphill, downhill. You just say slope upward. Upward. Okay.
Yeah, but okay. So up is about relationships. You just, if you say up, it's like you're in an undeclared space. You say hill, everybody's like, oh yeah, I know what a hill is.
Here, yeah, I guess. I just realized I was doing that. So here's what, when you look square at that wall, here's what you're doing to it. Here's what you're doing to that wall. More level as you get to that horizon. More sloped down wall. We're going down wall. As we go to the corners, we go up wall above horizon when we do the clouds. So your clouds can actually be real skewed like this, because guess what? It doesn't look bad when it's a huge wall. So you can slope those up and then make them more level toward the middle. There, you see that? So it's like that flare of things going up toward if they're above eye level, down, makes your corners look like really nice balanced windows to your mural. Until you sit down on the floor and see it from that eye level, then everything goes back to skewed. But that's okay, because when people walk in, that's your first impression. That's the one that really matters. All right. So this is your homework. Okay, I'm going to give some homework.
Hey, good job. I think Mavis wanted homework. She was like asking for it. She was like, cool dudes, but
this is what you do
now.
Okay, this is the homework. Is when you is make that 3D cube. Okay, so Mavis has done the 3D cube exercise, but I say do it in this workflow. 3 lines going to a vanishing point, any vanishing point. 1, 2, 3. Okay, they're all aiming, and strain your mind to visualize before you mark. It's not like writing a sentence where you're just muscle memory is filling it in. This is the process of becoming able to draw what you imagine. Is imagining it first and drawing toward that place you imagined. I think that's a part of the mind that really needs training, really needs it. Okay, now we're going to put a vanishing point that is out here, somewhere to the left. So we're going to do 3 lines. Again, we're going to go a line here. Now this line, I don't want to do it without imagining where it goes. Imagine where it goes first. That's the rule that I want you to follow. Imagine where that line's going, so that when you put your pencil down, you're going right to that point that you imagine. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to draw a line to a point that I'm imagining. I'm looking at these lines. I'm looking at this. I'm visualizing the whole thing. I've got a tracer in my eyeballs right now. My imagination's making this line. Right here, like that. See? And I went right along. So this exercise, it doesn't need to be perfect. The process matters, because this process builds, I think it builds muscles that you need. Okay. 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. There you go. This is how we want to approach drawing. So I'm trying to steer away from gradually, intuitively muscling your way through it by trying to draw a diamond that looks right here, and trying to draw a square that looks right here, and trying to draw a square that looks right here. And then you're like, it looks okay. We want to move away from that. I want to train the muscles of the mind
Yeah, and the
That's-
training, Leanne necessarily points out, includes sound effects.
Yeah, they go. I don't know why they go hand in hand, but they go hand in hand.
You're
The
not
sound
going to get
effects.
this concept in silence.
You
guys.
got to make the sounds. Okay.
So JS is curious here. What would it look like if it were a convex corner then coming toward you? Like, say you're going to paint a mural on the corner of that cube.
Right. Okay. Switch the vanishing points is the answer. So this vanishing point goes the other way. So we're going to go now toward one that's over there. Okay. Switch the vanishing points. All right. That's those 3 lines. Now let's switch the vanishing point on these 3 lines. All right. They were going to one over here. Now they're going to go to one over here. So wait, they were going to one there. Now they're going to go this way. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we still need to switch these 3.
So I think we're curious about if we put an image on this cube, right?
But look,
like your example of looking into an interior corner, and you're like, you got to bend
Uh-huh.
the lines, and this, the uphill thing.
yeah. But I think
So-
I understood the question. This is convex. This is convex now. We have things expanding as they get closer to us now, instead of the other way. Okay, right. Right. What were you saying? Continue.
I don't even know. Half of me thinks these guys are messing with you, Joe.
Yeah. That's what
You
I
know?
think's going on. You know what? I bet they are. Okay, now look,
I mean,
I'm going to put
Round Brush wants to know what this would look like on a rhombus now.
I can do that. If someone just tells me what a rhombus is, I can do it. I'm gonna put
Frankie Nudes comes in to say, "Don't mess with Joe." He knows.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put things telling the same story. So my lines are getting closer together as they go toward the corner. Okay. See how they get further apart? Okay. Like this. There's my convex shape. You know, I got more than one thing telling the same story. You know, it's not.
That's
true.
True.
So it goes the other way. So that's convex.
But it's freaking me out. It's doing some MC Escher on my brain. You know.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. That's such an unfamiliar shape. We don't have like context for what did you just draw. Nobody makes that shape. Actually, a folded piece of, the inside of a box. If you cut a box, it'd be cool. Like you're doing the inside of a room. That's exactly what the inside of a room is.
That's a rhombus.
This is the exact same thing. Doing the. What's a rhombus?
Round Brush is going to be tossing and turning tonight because he did not learn how to draw a rhombus in perspective.
What in the world is a rhombus? Someone tell me what a rhombus is. I remember that word in school. I remember that.
It's a shape. It's a shape.
Dude, come on. You don't know. You're saying that because you don't know what it is.
I do know.
You would have answered. Okay.
A rhombus is a type of rectangle where it has 2 parallel sides, 2 right angles, and 2 oblique angles. That's a rhombus.
Those are too many words. Rhombus. I don't know the oblique and parallel. Oh, I got you. Okay.
2 acute and 2 oblique. No right angles. My bad.
Yeah. Well, this is, now we're painting rocks. When you want to make rocks, you're doing irregular shapes in 3D. They're not just 90-degree angles. So,
before we go down this rabbit trail, Lee Child just wants you to know, even though you got a C+ on that fish, they got a C in geometry. So
it's an eraser.
The bar is set.
Yeah, it's set. All right.
Eraser.
Yeah.
All right. What in the world are you guys doing here?
This is it. That's the shape. I got to think about the vanishing points when I did it. If you're making it zoomed in from a distance, you don't really need to think about the vanishing points. But you're just, we got like 9 lines to try to represent something.
Represent?
Right? Yeah, that's when you combine 2 words into one word. Represent something can be combined into one word. Representing.
Yeah,
that's what I was doing. Okay, so we got, but in a real picture, you got all this context that's there. You got a shadow of it.
Yep.
And you got one side maybe a little bit darker than the other side.
Yep.
Maybe like this. Like that. Okay, you have these other things to tell more of the story. When you're just doing it with lines, it doesn't always translate. But the exercise is valuable. Okay, so draw 3D cubes from all different angles. Just get used to very quickly understanding the importance of I need to be what are you parallel to at what point? You want to be able to just do that, because moving through that, it becomes something felt instead of something thought about. It really transitions.
Do another one. Just 3 of them real quick. Just zoom. Right? This is why Joe is so fast, right? I'm not just teasing here. Like, this is why Joe can very quickly assemble an image. It's because in his brain, he has done this 5 zillion times, and it's reps. That's
it, brother. It is reps. We're going to do one more fun here.
All right. And here's the next generation of Rubik's Cube. You guys. Apparently.
Yeah.
Well, Joe,
this is a different. When you finish the 3D cube, this is what you do next. This is
now
the
you're
one
graduated. Now you're in college.
You do that.
You're getting education.
Do that.
Yeah,
all I did.
Cat Marie in the Woods calls this shape a dodecahedron.
Whoa, dodecahedron. Nice. That's
totally
masterful.
I was totally gonna identify that dodecahedron.
Masterful butchering of the pronunciation on
That's
that.
what I'm up to later. I'm gonna be sculpting some dodecahedrons.
I think it's dodecahedron, Ben.
That's true. Dodecahedron. My bad. Dodecahedron. Yeah, round brush. They did go extinct in the last big meteor event.
Dodecahedrons did.
Yeah.
Here's the trick. To that. It's as simple as this. When you make everything doesn't need to be like real logical thought process. All it is just making shapes and then squishing the shapes more around the shape of the circle. So I'm just making shapes that are more squished out here. See, they're just random shapes, but the ones in the middle, see, when your eyes can pick out an overall pattern, when enough of the things have that pattern, there can be anomalies, but it creates a 3D shape because of the overlying. So that's all I did with the triangles. It wasn't as advanced.
Yeah, well, you blew JS's mind with how quick you just ripped out that dodecahedron, honestly. But that is to the point where understanding the principle, the math will allow you to just quickly rough in something that makes
sense. That's it. That's it. Okay, watch. I want to show you something fun. With scribbles, let's see if this works, okay? With scribbles.
Hey, Wonka 5278 says, I've learned more from Joe than all my time in art class. Thanks, dog.
Nice. Okay. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. It's very validating. Okay. Squished shapes around the edges.
So here's a dream I had last night. There was this figure.
Right. You already see a figure, don't you? You already see where I'm going with this.
It was like humanoid, but quite a person.
But it was made.
Does that make any sense, guys? Aren't dreams crazy?
So the way I sculpt this 3-dimensionally is by understanding that my shapes around the edges are flattened from perspective. So I just make flattened shapes. So this is what I think this is the mind blower in all of this for me, is that when you make a line, when you make a line and it's an edge of an object, you're making a plane in perspective. This is what lines are when we draw objects. So when I make a fish, right? Like this,
fish.
a fish, for example. Okay, let's see if we can do a fishy shape here. Every line on this fish represents a surface in perspective. Every single one. There is no such thing as a mere line when in a 3D world. There's no such thing as a line. Everything has some width, it has some height, some width, some depth, or else it doesn't actually exist in our 3D world. You see what I'm saying? Do you see
I feels you.
what I'm trying to
you.
say? Yeah, right?
Hey,
So as we shade these, it's time for us to stop this live stream. By the way, I think we're way over. What were you going to say?
Speaking of looking forward, Cornelia wants to know, you doing this next weekend too?
Yep. Oh no, I'm going to be in Greece. I'm going to Greece.
Joe's
How about
going
that?
to Greece.
Yep. I'm going to go see Ephesus. We're going to do a cruise over to Turkey while we're there. We got this whole thing about 25-year anniversary. 25-year anniversary we're celebrating. My wife did a lot of work to plan this trip. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just trying to show that we think of things in lines. A line does a great job of representing a surface in perspective, and this is where I'm elaborating on what that surface is with the gradient. And that's why I'm always talking about edges and gradients. Edges and gradients. We have an edge, we have a gradient. And then
Hey, Mavis says happy anniversary, congrats. Leanne says the same. Kat Marie says the same.
Thank you.
Yeah,
everybody, I appreciate it. 25 years, man. Boy, I'll tell you, we put in
with some fish and chips if you pop by his neck of the woods.
Yeah, okay, that sounds cool enough. Maybe another time. If you're down in Greece, then I'll definitely do that. Yeah. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, that was a lot of useful information. A lot of people here really appreciate that technical kind of deep dive and the utility of it. So getting a lot of use out of the marker board stuff, even though we didn't get so deep into color and all that today.
That's good. You know, I think when you're this is a thought that I just had. And now I'm going to rabbit trail from the thought that I have not yet expressed and then come back to the thought that I was going to say before this thought that's going to rabbit trail off that. You got me? You following what I'm saying?
You're going to lose track.
I already did. We have this habit when we talk to each other of having an idea that interrupts what the other person's saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we think a thing, and then therefore that implies another thing, which implies another thing, which concludes the big light bulb moment, and we're just like,
my wife. I think all of us have. I think any of our wives can relate to the frustration of how can you not be listening to? How did you not hear me? You were looking right at me. And what's hard to communicate is my thoughts interrupted you.
I do this. I'll be silent for a long time. I'll be sitting next to my wife, and then like after 15 minutes of silence, I'll be like, and that's why we have to mow the grass. That's how it works.
Oh man,
you know, it's
so ridiculous.
Like, you got to bring people along, man. You got to bring them along.
That's good.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that. Lee Child is just the same. Kat Marie likes a rabbit trail versus a rabbit hole. Rabbit holes, not so much. Rabbit trails.
Yeah.
Round Brush says maybe it's called ADHD.
Yeah. I don't buy into that. That feels like a movement.
Neither do I. It's not hyperactive. That's the thing. There's no justification for the age.
Yeah. All right. We've burned out this subject. It's burnt. It's spent.
It's true. All right, it's fried. Let's throw it out. It's good to see you guys.
We got to move on to the rest of Saturday.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Let's
it's
go get
been
some dodecahedrons under our belt, guys.
the dodecahedron, dodecahedron, dodecahedron. I like that pronunciation because it's different. Everyone will know what you're saying.
Like our grandma Dodie.
Hey, you're right. We do. I wonder if they named her after a dodecahedron.
They totally did. They totally did. Grandma
Man,
is a
the
mathematician.
the things you learn. All right.
Do on that.
I'm pushing the hang up. You know what? I'm trying to hang up on the video call with you. I'm mistakenly doing that. We got to end the live stream. Everybody, we're signing off. It was very good hanging out with you. Thank you for being here.
All right. Later, dudes.